Printing changed the world, or at least allowed the world to change, more than any other human invention, I think. Printing allowed both lies and the truth, words, to be spread around the world in the form of propaganda and education as never before, and ultimately more cheaply than ever before, so that by today, pretty well everyone in the world has been affected by printing.
It's nearly 11 o'clock and a cluster of skilled volunteers arrives to set in motion 200 years of printing history. It's an open day at the Norwich Printing Museum's temporary outpost at Blickling. A few star turns from a much, much bigger collection of historic printing equipment are being made ready for action. The original John Jarrold Museum of Printing was the extraordinary creation of Peter Jarrold, chairman of Jarrold's Printing Company, the landmark printing works in Norwich. Quality printing and binding were a big part of the successful family business. But Peter also had a passion for letterpress heritage. When the firm invested in new technology, he hung on to the best of the old redundant machinery. In 1982, with donations from other printers and collectors, Peter was able to open an impressively comprehensive museum and archive dedicated to his father, John. When the works site was due for redevelopment, the whole lot, a heroic 140 tons of precious heavy metal, had to be carefully moved into storage. For now, the charitable trust managing the new chapter in the museum's history operates this delightful mini-museum during the season, until a more permanent home for the entire collection can be found.
Good morning, welcome to the Norwich Printing Museum. Please come in.
This animated time capsule of printing history takes visitors on a riveting journey across the most important decades in the development of manual and mechanical letterpress printing, as well as bookbinding.
Feel how strong that is.
These are truly mesmerising machines, a beautiful blend of art and engineering. The fabulously flamboyant monotype composition caster was aiming for maximum automation. A rota of volunteers take delight in breathing new life into some of the oldest presses. Tony Jurier loves to put into practice skills he learnt as a lad in the 1950s as an apprentice at HMSO, Her Majesty's Stationery Office.
This machine is unique as it dates from 1845. It is unique because of its ornate decoration. It was designed at a time when printing was seen to be potentially evil. It is heavy to operate and quite slow to operate. The thing I really appreciate is demonstrating this equipment to members of the public. We have so many interesting visitors come into this museum. It really is a pleasure to demonstrate. Oh, that looks good.
Many volunteers spent their working lives in the printing industry. Like Jerry Morris, they hold their heritage in high esteem and great affection. In their head and hands, they have years of knowledge and experience.
The letterpress printing process is a mirror image process. So therefore the compositor sets upside down, but left to right. To be a good compositor, you need good dexterity. You need to be somebody who takes care in what they do to maintain the accuracy throughout, but also so you're always setting to the same guidelines and to the same pressures. You achieve a page layout in two ways. You might get a presentable one, which you have to follow line by line. Many jobs, in fact, were given to you, and so you're composing and designing in your head as you go along. And the job that I'm working on today is purely just that. Had some copy to work from, and I've just set it. And actually, you don't always get it absolutely right, so you might have to go back and maybe enlarge some type to make it balance and look better. It's just experience. I still get a buzz from picking up a stick and setting type. And you'll find that old compositors are all the same, they really are. It's something they've lived with, been brought up with, and something that they were completely unaware of what they were going into at the start. So when you've achieved it and you do it well, that personal pride never goes away. This job is now completely tied up, so that when I move to the next process, it'll be done on the flat, and it holds the whole job together.
The museum is proud to be a working museum. To keep the wheels turning, they need workers who know precisely how to turn them. The trustees know that skilled people, as well as artifacts, are essential to the future of this living museum.
We want to preserve the equipment and machinery of printing, but also the knowledge and skills that go with it in order to give it its context. That means the skills that people in the printing industry have and can pass on to the next generation, so that it can be an inspiration for artists, designers and bookbinders working today.
Bill Fay spent over 60 years in printing, and in retirement regularly drives a real stalwart of the old Jarrold's machines.
Well, it's called a Heidelberg Platen, or to give its full title, the Heidelberg Super Speed. The name gives us a clue to it, the super speed. This automatic feeding device could go a lot quicker than even the most skilled feeder could do it by hand. And that was the secret of it. It's this windmilling device that was entirely new and revolutionary. But this machine will just keep on going for years and years. This particular press came into Jarrold Printing round about 1934. And it was still in use, although not on book production or anything like that, into the 1960s. Oh yeah, it's better.
The museum has a lot of rare and a few unique items, but its real value lies in its depth and breadth. It's the second largest collection in the UK, after the Science Museum's collection, which is all in storage. So the Norwich Museum allows the UK's printing heritage to be preserved and also to be used. Norwich will be a practical museum, a working museum, where people can come and learn the skills of printing and can be inspired for the future.
This is a pearl traddle platen dating from 1905. It was made in Boston in the United States, and it's what's known as a treadle platen, as it is operated by your feet. The paper is inserted onto the tympan in register with the quads. The machine is then turned over to produce the print. This is a nice machine, but it does have a shortcoming insofar as every time the press turns over, it takes an impression. There is no impression throw-off, which makes it more tricky to use.
The historical artefacts of printing, presses, type, paper, and the products of the press deserve to be preserved both for themselves and because of the place they have in cultural history in the same sense that all human history is worthy of preservation and study, but also for its particular importance in the history of culture, which could hardly have thrived without printing.
Artist Jules Allen joined the museum in 2014. She became a founding trustee and fervent campaigner on their behalf.
I came to the museum with a project 8 years ago, and I just fell in love with the place the moment I walked through the door. I absolutely love all of it. They're just beautiful machines. They're wonderful pieces of engineering. It's just wonderful to hear them working, and we are a working museum. The collection's crucial to our printing heritage. It's one of the largest printing collections in the whole country, if not the world, and it needs to be treasured.
Well, you have to remember that in 1450, this was the social media of the day. And yes, things have moved on, but to maintain that wonderful start, prior to 1450, there was no leisure reading. It grew out of the ability to put ink on paper mechanically. So it's a superb heritage that needs protecting. Well, I want to maintain a craft, and I don't want to see it disappear. And that craft will die if people like the volunteers here don't continue to keep the process going.
This is the equipment of my youth, and it's nowhere else. I'm a machine man. My hobbies away from here are old British motorcycles and engineering. So when I bring those skills into here with my early career in printing, it brings everything together in a way that nowhere else can.